I'm sorry. I had a little bit of an attack this afternoon. I've got my thing with me, so I was under the nebulizer, and I just didn't realize. I'm just sorry. I apologize for being late. Apologize to all of you. What?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, let's turn that thing off. She's here. Oh, okay.
Good job, Carl. Attaboy.
This weather is brutal. For me. Okay, now, okay, I think this is better. I don't know, do we want to wait till Steph here? She goes. Everybody's trying to stay cool in this mess. Some people like it. Okay, this is the Town Council work session, opening it up. Tonight, we don't do any public speaking, and we don't take any votes. Nothing really official happens tonight, just a lot of good discussion, usually. So, I'm going to call it to order. If you could give me a roll call.
Connie Reed. Here. Carl Kincaid.
Present.
Debbie Merle. Here. Don Hill. Anybody heard from him?
He will not be here.
He's at the beach.
Oh, yeah. Scott Glover.
Here.
Scott,
Tuesday though.
did you get those fence posts finished?
Yeah. On that one side,
How many acres did you tell me you had to do?
3, well, I gotta do 9, but 3 at first.
Yeah. And I ran into Scott and Sharon. We went over to see, we just get out right around sometime, and I saw them, and it was about 100, seemed like 105. I don't really know if it was or not. I said, oh my God, the hottest day of the year. Hottest day of the year. Hottest day. Anyway, they were doing such stuff. Okay. Anyway, we have a roll call. I don't have on here to do the Pledge of Allegiance, but I think we will. Since we've got election and everything coming up, it never hurts to do that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, any discussion on the minutes of the June 4th meeting? If not, we'll move on. May 2024 financial statement. Got some recent changes to financial statement journal entry for debt service and general fund.
Yes, we went in and had to make we did a general, whenever Mr. Bill came in and paid the civic center off.
Excuse me, Scott, would you move that over where, between
Oh,
you and Melody, where they can hear?
Thank you. Whenever Mr. Bill came in to pay the civic center off, we had to make a journal entry because he paid it off. So so we made a journal entry of $226,400 something.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. Yeah, there was, if I read my notes, I know, wouldn't it? 226, 410, 19. Thank you very much. And so that's, if you look at the bottom, on the second page where it says 164.5288, that's with taking that out, so.
Okay, go again with that, go again with that. We look on the bottom of the second page.
Yes, the second page. It would be the general fund.
Oh, okay.
Is it
Well,
under,
Go ahead, no, go on.
is it under the miscellaneous category, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, it's down at the bottom right here, the 160, I think last month it was 300 something thousand, I don't have that last month in front of me. And that's the reason it's been brought down to 164.52, due to the fact that we had to make a journal entry on that. Now, as far as, the revenues was there, and then we took it, it's under miscellaneous, Stephanie, if you look there, where it says 370, that's the reason why that's gone up. And that's in revenues, then under expenditures, it fell under, let's see, general government. But it was the same amount of money came in, the same amount of money went out, so.
So as of the end of May, it looks like our revenues coming in year to date, it looks like they have exceeded what we estimated for the 23-24 fiscal year.
Mhm.
And I think if I add it up correctly, if we have like another 25,000 come in next month, it will cover what we amended the budget for. It will cover that as well.
Not necessarily, no, it won't. It will, we're still like, what, $101,000 short in the, than what we budgeted now. We budgeted 927 and we've gotten in, I can't remember,
It's 750 year to date.
Then we got another check in June of 75,000 something.
And is that included in the 750? Did y'all have time to put that in here?
No, because this is
No.
May, we don't put that in there till June.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we can't put
So
that
in June though, you deposited today 75,000?
today, I thought, yeah. So you just add that.
And that's a local option?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
But I'm talking about for the total revenues.
Yeah,
on
total,
the-
we're, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Mhm. Yeah.
The total is, that's including your miscellaneous stuff, which is
That is
from
true.
bid, so I mean, that's,
Yeah.
the total
But
is,
it's coming out also, so,
Right.
in the general government.
So actually, that's a wash, is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
right. Mhm.
Okay.
Well, no, we budgeted 2.7 million and we brought in over 2.8 million through the end of May. Is what.
Is that revenues though, or is that Richard coming in and paying off?
That's including, yeah,
Okay.
in revenues, but we've gone, we're 104.37%, but that's including that money too, that Richard,
That we had not counted, we really didn't budget him doing that this year.
No,
We
we
hadn't
hadn't.
counted on
No,
that.
we just budgeted payment.
Okay, so we got that in, but the way I understand it, that's not really a revenue, something we can spend, if we got it in, and we put it right out.
Only way we can spend it is, when we can't spend it, we got
No.
to start paying that debt
It
off.
just paid off. It comes in, it goes out.
Mhm.
So I'm sorry, can you run that by me again? Where is the revenue for him? Because I don't see anything that's 226,000 in miscellaneous.
Okay, it's, under miscellaneous, we budgeted 77.9, but we actually took in 379, 264.92.
Is that where you put it, is that where you put
Yes,
the
yes.
226?
Right,
So why does the month to date only say 1,670?
Well, that's what we've actually spent this month.
Or take it, or scan or receive.
Oh, well, let's see, I have to look at this too, this sales, I'm sorry. Here, 1,670 is what it says actual. But it don't show the journal entry there, that's just what.
Okay, the 1,670 and 60, where it says actual month to date. That's what we took in month to date, plus we already had some in miscellaneous, right? Yeah.
Right. So
And
what that,
then you added the 226, 410, is that where you're coming with the 379, 364?
yeah, it's, and we did journal entries this month, in May. That's right, yeah.
Try to be accurate.
Yeah. She made the journal entry for it. She did it today, but she made it for December.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's when we got the money in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds
balance
good.
amount.
What did we have, maybe that's what you're looking for, Stephanie. What did we have in miscellaneous income year to date before you put in the 226 and the 1670 that we took in?
I calculated it at 152,854.73.
Okay, so we had, so we had, okay, maybe that'll answer. What'd you get,
152,854.73.
That's what I got, too.
And what we really have is at the total revenues then would be 2.6, which is under the 2.7 we predicted.
So that amount though was showing up under the April report. So you're talking about the journal entry.
We had that-
just for the payment.
That's exactly
Okay.
right, yeah, yeah. Just for the payment.
okay, you want to, while they're looking, you want to go down?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah, and if y'all have any questions, I can answer it tonight, I can get back with you. Because I have to go back and look at the books and see. Okay. In the business tax, we got, you noticed that we budgeted 42 and we got 47, so we got more, a little bit more in than what we budgeted. You can look at the percentage over here as well.
Yeah.
That's a good way to tell. In the state sales tax, we've gone a little bit over 100% in revenue there. City street transportation is on a little bit, got more revenue there too.
You did real good on the alcohol.
Yeah, but we had to give that to the, to the half of it,
Yeah.
yeah. In fact, I wrote them a check today for,
Yeah, we did real well.
$7,000,
That's on a
yeah.
state level.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I think, so far, with, as far as we've gotten property tax, that's about what we always, we usually get about 95%, that's what I always figure it has. Be good on our delinquent.
Okay, but this is not this is not the final. The final one we will get will be June 30th. We'll get that in.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
right.
This is just like today, and I'll look for more changes
Mhm.
in that final line. Maybe we'll have more. What about the in-service training for officers?
Yes, well, that's not in, you're talking about the,
Well, I'm still just looking at your sheet, recent changes. The financial.
okay, that's, the in-service training for the officers, that, they're gonna get an extra, they're getting $800 apiece, they'll get $1,600, but that's in the upcoming budget.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
in this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, Stephanie, I forgot to call you, this afternoon I got an email from, the assessor's office. And, it's not certified or anything, it's just, our estimate went up a little bit, but about $500 more is all from what I've got on there.
Okay, do we have any more, while you are looking this over, do we have any more questions on the financial statement for Tuesday night?
And y'all do just shoot me an email.
Okay, if there's no more, we're going on down to the second and final reading amendment of the Wadsworth budget. Before we start discussing on the budget, last month, I presented an annual budget that I believe manages growth, keeps taxes reasonable, and responds to department needs. As requested, we, the department heads and I, provided you with justification for each expense and showed how each expense would be paid for. While I appreciate your efforts, and I choose to believe they are sincere efforts, taking out this piece or that piece does not really solve anything. It simply kicks the can down the road. While there are a couple of nice-to-have things included in this budget, such as monitors for the courtroom, electronic notification sign, most everything is a we need this. We cannot run our town effectively by continuing to operate on a bare-bones budget. Like it or not, our town is growing. Correspondingly, our needs are growing. We must grow and improve our government with it. We must move the $75,000 street lighting expense from the state street aid fund back into the general fund. We must do some essential paving as soon as possible. Alternatively, we may decide to solicit bids on a larger paving project and take out a capital outlay note to pay for it. Either way, funding both the White Bluff Road paving project and the street lighting expense out of the state street aid fund does not allow us anything for future paving needs. Purchasing only 4 new police cars when we need 6 is not good stewardship of the people's money. To buy 4 police cars now and have a payment, only to buy 2 more next year at a higher price probably, and to have an additional payment makes no sense. We should take out a loan for the 6 vehicles as requested. Purchasing only 1 monitor for the courtroom instead of the requested 2 is short-sighted. Installing 2 monitors will provide easy viewing from anywhere in the courtroom. This has been repeatedly requested. Plus, the majority of the project cost will be incurred during the initial setup, whether we install 1 monitor or 2. I think an extra monitor would maybe just increase it, maybe anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. But most of your cost on this is going to be in the initial setup, no matter how many monitors you buy. The money for the electronic sign answers an issue brought up repeatedly by several candidates in past elections, as well as current council members. It is yet another way of keeping the public informed. I feel that we should not put the remainder needed back on donors and continue waiting as prices on everything, cars, signs, office equipment, gas, etc., continue to increase. Last month, an attempt was made to remove the cybersecurity plan from the budget. We cannot put this off. We cannot expose ourselves to a potential cyber attack that would require us paying an excessive ransom to regain control of our systems. This very scenario is playing out in towns and businesses across the country. Even though we will not meet our revenue projections for this current budget year, fiscal year 2023-24, I am confident that by returning to our original method of forecasting and by leaving our certified tax rate at 60 cents, we can meet our projections and purchase items that are much needed for our town. I have always prioritized a healthy fund balance. Having this healthy fund balance will allow us to absorb the up to $200,000 shortfall we might have, well, I say we will have, but we might have this year. We will not know June 30th. We're just projecting from what we think will happen in June. But I caution you, we cannot continue budgeting based not on facts, but on conjecture and hope any longer. Last year, a mistake was made by knowingly budgeting revenues incorrectly and eliminating a necessary tax increase. Let's not make the same mistake again. Let's work together to move us all forward. Please keep in mind, we need to get a budget passed. As of July 1st, next week, 2024, we will still be working on the fiscal year 2023-24 budget. I ask you to approve the all-inclusive budget as originally presented, and let's get to work making the town of White Bluff the best it can be. So, on that, I've got the all-inclusive. Got the amended budget.
Are there 2 copies in our packet, or is there just 1?
Just one.
Which one you put in the
Number 3
packet?
and number.
The all-inclusive?
The amended, the amended all-inclusive.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm confused. If it's all-inclusive, why is it amended?
Yes.
We had, 2 budgets going. We had one that everything that everybody asked for, and then we had the one that was bare minimum.
Right.
And I think we chose to work off of the all-inclusive and just amend it. So that's why it's an all-inclusive amended.
And that's based on the votes that we took at the previous council.
So what's this one that says amended?
That would be, up there it's highlighted, 23, that's the year that we're on now, that we
Oh,
needed to
okay.
amend.
Oh, okay. I see.
I'll say something.
Open for discussion, absolutely.
So after the meeting last, I had a extensive conversation. I know it wasn't a unanimous vote, but there was a majority vote to reduce the amount of police vehicles from 6 to 4. I spoke with the heads of the police department, and they, which I think is very telling of how much they need the 6 vehicles instead of the 4. They very generously offered to sacrifice their vacation pay buyback in order to get those extra 2 vehicles. So the fact that our police department is saying, hey, we will surrender our vacation buyback if we can please have those 2 extra cars, I think is pretty telling. If you look at the math, that vacation buyback, so that would remove that option. If you don't know what that is, it's basically saying that if an officer doesn't take his vacation pay, that we will pay him for that time, basically pay him extra as in the form of like a bonus. They were going to be surrendering that, about $15,000. For 2 cars, rough about, each car is worth about $10,000 in a budget line item, so you're looking at a difference of 5. And I confidently believe that that's easily made up just in the fact that of inflation, what's going to happen next year. If we put it off, the price of those vehicles is going to just go up. And then, of course, taking out a second note, and the cost of acquiring that note carries its own cost as well. So I'm just, obviously we're not voting today, but I know I'm going to be bringing that Tuesday as an option to be voted upon in order to be able to facilitate getting our officers what they're requesting. So.
Okay, I think, now that we projected today, that if we added, you were gonna call the bond fund, because that's where we get our,
And I
if you
put
added,
the total in the.
okay, but you thought it would be around 62 to 65,000?
Yeah, that's just, going by what, I estimated the interest like at 3.5%. It may, that's what, I was going off, what we knew the vehicle was gonna cost us, and then the 3.5% interest, so that's what I come up with. So, I don't know how good the interest is gonna be, to be truthfully honest, so
Okay.
that's just an estimate.
Maybe we can find out more tomorrow.
I'll let the
Tuesday
message
night.
on her.
Yeah, that may be there. Okay.
Well, I have a question. Did we already discuss line 3?
Which one?
Which one?
Discuss second and final reading amendment current fiscal year 2023-2024.
Yeah, maybe,
I think we skipped that one.
on that.
The second final reading, amendment of current, okay, a public hearing, well,
That was the amendment.
the amendments that we did last time, okay. You wanna go back and discuss those?
I'm just sitting here looking at it, and like we didn't discuss that, and I was wondering if there was something we need to talk about. Skipped over that
Not,
before.
well, no, we had what, 4 that voted yes for the amendments, and, I think you,
All right, I'm just not going crazy, I'm just wondering
that's kind of.
what happened to that.
When this note says recent changes to amended budget, are you talking about for the 24-25 year
No, I'm talking about the 24,
or the current year?
the current year, what we just discussed, about the payment.
Just the payoff for the civic center or the part below that?
Just the payoff of the city.
Okay, gotcha. So what's below that is for 24-25?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we noticed, we just we were talking and doing this the other day, that, I said, didn't we get more business tax? And, because you said we probably would, and they checked it, we did. So we changed that to 47,000. The rejection should be 47,000. Yeah, I think so.
So to go back to the May financial report that we received. So when we look at the 23-24 fiscal year, the amount of revenue that we estimated, which you said does not include the payment for the civic center, that was $2,716,853. So as of right now, with his payment, it's $2,835,507.25. So it's showing that our month-to-date income was $194,597. So So it appears to me that we have exceeded what we estimated. Because we had to estimate that we were going to make the loan payment somehow.
We did, and the loan payment was gonna be like $77,000.
Okay.
That's what the loan payment was gonna be.
So when I look at the budget for last year and I look at the revenue that we had estimated that we would bring in, that was the $2,716,853.
That's correct.
Okay, so we have exceeded that so far by May 30th.
Yes, and part of that, the reason why we have exceeded is because of that $226,000 that Mr. Bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when I go back and I look at all the monthly financial statements, the lowest amount that we had coming in for a month was like $140,000. And so without his payment for the month of May, it was $194,000 roughly. And last month, we were saying we were only off by about $75,000, not for the local option sales tax, but just in general, we were off by about $75,000.
Well, 75, I don't know what you're talking about, Stephanie.
Just for the total revenue. Because like you said, some categories come in more than anticipated, some come in less.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the last check we'll get on local option sales tax, right?
Yes,
This is
we're
the last
pretty
check?
good. Yeah, we got it yesterday.
Okay, so even though it's not showing up in here, we take the $750 and add that $75,000 to it.
Right.
And that gives us like, what, $825? Something like that, I'm rounding up figures. So that shows that we're, let's say 25, we're about 102,000 short there, correct?
She figured it today, and it was 101,000.
And
Just
then
on
we
that
go
line
up,
item.
I don't know, we go up to property tax then, and we figured that that's about 30 or 35,000 short, something like that.
But if you look on the second page, the total here today, it's showing that we have exceeded what we estimated for the entire budget year by the end of May.
But is that including the two?
226.
That was revenue we wasn't expecting from Mr. Bill. So that,
Okay. It is, but my point is, even if we only receive the lowest amount per month for the month of June,
right.
that's still going to be another $140,000. And we know we had to estimate the payment for the Civic Center in there. So it looks to me like we're still going to be above that $2.7 million that we estimated.
I would have to go back and get my records and see. It's just something I can't just answer, but I will go back and look.
If it was 140,000, where would we be getting that from as a revenue? That we maybe, would we maybe not get 140,000 in June? I know, these things are hard to just
It is.
answer off the top of your head.
It is.
Yeah.
It is hard to answer right off the top of your head. But, so what you're saying, Stephanie, is, say that again, what?
So we received monthly reports from July up until
Now.
May. So we've got roughly 11 months worth of reports. And based on the total monthly revenue, the lowest amount in this past year has been $140,000, roughly dollars, $140,000. Everything else beyond that has exceeded that. So for the month of June, even if it was our lowest amount of $140,000, we would still have a total revenue that's more than what we estimated for the year, is what I'm getting at.
And Okay, my question on that is how many of these things, I would say, have we already received in that we will not receive in June? Some of these things, I think, are already at their peak.
Well, that may be, but
That
again,
would be included in the previous months, maybe of $140,000.
there's some months that we get more for that category than what we anticipated.
Okay, now which category are you talking about in particular?
Well, there's about 25 here, I mean.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not.
we know we're through property taxes.
Mhm.
We're through with delinquent.
Mhm.
Property tax penalty, I guess we're through. Payment in lieu of property taxes, I don't know, Melody, is that, are you in agreement with that?
I think
or what?
we're fit, because it's already June 30, end of June, and I think we've already gotten everything we want to
Gonna
get.
get off, okay, because you and Misty would know, because we're in the month of June, this is May, and you would kind of off your head know
Right.
what we, okay.
Right.
So local option sales tax, we know we've got the last check, that's 75,000, so we won't be receiving any more. So you can't count that in the 140. Wholesale beer tax, I would say, yeah, we probably will get more for June. Alcohol tax, that probably will equal out, probably be okay. Business taxes, we've got. I mean, we've already got the business taxes, but they're due by June 30th, and so there won't be any more than that. Cable TV franchise tax, I don't know.
I don't think we'll get it, unless we get it tomorrow.
Okay.
We wouldn't get it.
Okay, room occupancy tax, unless somebody can come in, but we won't come on that. Beer permits, we're through with that,
We're
aren't
through
we?
with that, yeah.
Building related permits, we only got, what, 2 more days before
Yeah.
July 4th, so I would be very surprised, but if we do, that's kind of a wash anyway. State enforcement education, what is that, that's a revenue?
That's their, the state enforcement education is where they go to in-service training.
Okay, and that's a revenue, will we get any more there?
No.
Okay, no more there?
Mm-mm.
State sales tax,
We got, in June, we got state sales.
is that in here?
No, this is just in May.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about the deposit, sometimes she makes a deposit.
Well,
Okay.
It was about the same, I think, do you remember about 37,000 maybe? It was right around there. Yeah.
Okay, so we're saying, by the time we get the June report, then that figure might be
That'll go
up.
up too,
Okay.
yes.
All right, state income tax, okay, state beer tax,
That'll go up.
that'll go up a little bit, okay. There's a couple of things that might could go up. I would think mostly your big things, though, that would make up that 140,000, we've already got. I don't think we'll get any more in June. I hope we do.
I think we're gonna have at least 100,000 if we can come in there.
And what do you think is the, I mean, what's your estimate?
Because if you go back and look at all of these for each month, there is money coming in from the majority of these account lines. There's very few where it's just zero.
But I guess that's kind of what I'm maybe talking about. A lot of this stuff, there won't be any more coming in. We've already probably,
I think you come back for June, we'll get,
For the month of June.
yeah.
For the month.
So, okay, like business tax, will we have something else showing up?
Oh,
in
yeah,
here?
every month we get business tax.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I'm just looking at, like, I think most of these things, the big things that really are big that impact have already come in, so I don't know.
Now, see, what I did is I took the 2,835,507.25, subtracted the 226, and added your 140, you've got 2,749,097. I see what you mean.
Okay.
We should,
I'm just curious to where that 140 came from, that's what I'm curious.
see,
The month we think
the
that we
average balance,
received.
the month end.
No, that's not an average,
not an
that's an actual number.
So,
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's not an average.
I'll get with
How can-
Stephanie, we'll figure it out.
Fluctuates month over month, how is the 140?
That's the lowest
That's the lowest amount of
for a
options.
month that we have received. Yes, this past year.
I also took 11 and divided.
No, I looked at,
And really, the argument is over a lot of conjecture, because, I mean, we'll just see what plays out at the market.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
So it looks like we'll at least make what we budgeted.
yes. And
On some things, yeah, we might make it on the total.
I mean, because basically, we have 108 grand to make up right now, shortfall, not including the loss of purchasing power, so, yeah, I hope we can make that up. That'd be nice.
So all the money will stay in the general fund. That we,
But of course, that handles the income side, but that doesn't handle
Yeah.
the expenditures that we gotta pay for, right?
True.
So assuming the best, with hopes and prayers that we do make up that 108 grand difference from your 140, we still are deficit on the expenditures, right?
what do you mean the deficit on the expenditure?
Just because we had to amend it, because we had increased expenditures that were unforeseen that we had to amend it.
What I am hypothesizing here is that the amount of money that's going to come in next month will cover our amended budget.
Okay.
That's what I'm hypothesizing.
I hope you are correct.
I'm
not gonna put you
I
on that.
just, you know, I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see. I guess we're all looking at it kind of different personally. I'm just looking at some big things we usually count on coming in at 140. And, I mean, I know 75,000 is part of it, and I've already kind of added that in just manually on mine. So,
you have a copy of the June of last year to reference?
No. We had July starting, excuse me, from the current fiscal year.
we won't know until June 30th.
When the auditor comes in,
Well, that's when you really know.
yeah, that's what I say, because it's not going to actually be the same thing that's on this paper, because he has to adjust stuff too.
And that was a good point. Even if our revenues, even if we made up that $100,000, when you look over the expenses, probably from our expenses, might, yeah, so.
Are we back into the budget now?
Yeah, we're back into the budget.
That's coming.
I think we need to revisit the $75,000 that we took away from any paving we could do and put it back to paying streetlights, because there are so many of our little side roads that look, they're awful. And that, I really just think that we have got to, we need to think about putting that back over.
They said, I'm sure they told Jeff that Jackson Street is caving.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Well, I know we've got a place down here, right down on Trace Creek Road. It's terrible. I mean, you know. And then, we've got a couple of places that are coming out on 70 that, you know, got a lot of broken spots in them. And I know that we have 50, I think it's 15,000 in the state, I mean in street. But that's to do just basic repair work, that's not really to do any paving. So, yeah, I would like to see that put back over.
Do you have any comments?
Yeah.
Well, you know, scratch paper. I will say that I talked to the tax assessor's office to see what the county was planning on doing. And at the time that I spoke to her, it appeared that the county was going to look at a rate around $1.69 for county taxes, and that it was going to be between 10 to 15 cents higher than the state recommended amount. So that means that the taxpayers who live in White Bluff city limits are looking at county tax increase in addition to the city tax increase. And I think that is important to take into consideration because as a council, we met last month and we talked about removing some of these items from the budget to try to keep down what we were going to take out the general fund balance. But knowing that there is most likely going to be an increase from the county, if we do have that additional revenue coming in, I think that we might even consider having a tax rate that's lower than 60 cents.
What do you suggest? So I can put it in the,
I ran the numbers and I think that we could have a 50-cent tax rate and it would not be that detrimental to the budget, to what's estimated.
and I'll do a get on that tool estimator and see what that turns out to be.
Okay, in the minutes, go back to the minutes. Okay, the first thing is the motion was made to amend the all-inclusive budget by removing funds allocated for the digital sun. So, have any discussion on that?
I personally, y'all can see how I vote, I don't hide from how I vote, but, I personally, and this is just from, as someone who's done fundraisers all across the country, I just don't like that idea, and I understand the tension of going, well, we're paying for a sign and everybody's hurting. I get that tension, and I don't disagree with that. But I also know that whenever you pull a fundraiser and then you don't spend people's money that they donated for, don't come ask them to donate again, because they're gonna say, what'd you do with my money last go around? Why is it still sitting there? And again, this is just coming from, I've been part of many 501c3s, and again, when you take people's money in good faith that you're gonna put it towards an item, and then you don't deliver on that item in a reasonable time frame, the people are just not gonna be inclined to trust you and or give again. And so, for those reasons, and just from that experience over and over again, that's the reason why I said I get it. It hurts, and I know some people say, oh, it's not necessary. You know, it's not the top of necessity for a sign over police vehicles, right? But for those reasons, in view of when we come to our donors and the generous people and business owners and givers of those who would give to White Bluff and say, hey, please give your money for X, and then we don't spend it, I feel like that's a slap in the face. So that's, and if you keep on pushing the cane down the road, it does the same effect. Even if it's like, oh, well, it's earmarked, and we'll spend it in 5 years, it's still, if I was a big giver, I'd be like, don't come back to me then, because I gave you something years ago that I hadn't seen the fruition of. So that's, on that item, that's the reason I voted the way I did, was because of that. Is because, again, I've had work with a lot of 501c3s and donations, and you spend what people give you.
Not to mention the fact that it's gonna get more expensive. The longer we wait, it's like anything else, it's gonna get more expensive. And, people have been asking for this. That's been over and over and over. And now it's that we say we wanna do it, now it's being backed away from. So, I just think that it's just like the cars. If you keep waiting, you're gonna pay more money.
Well, the only thing I'll say about it, well, it's what Mark said in the letter. I remember when we had the debate about, I guess, 2 years ago, and people that were running, and we had about, I think, 5 candidates up there. Every one of them I sat there and listened to, transparency. We need to let everybody know. Nobody knows. We don't have a way to let them know. And we say, well, we're putting it in the papers, we're putting it on Facebook, we're putting it on everything that we can. And besides just going door to door to all 4,000 people here that live here, what else can we do? This is what we can do. And so it was asked for, and that's all I heard during that debate. That one word, I think if I hear transparency one more time, I'll keep one more scream. So now we've got a way, if we stick with our 60 cents, we've got a way to pay for the signs. So Scott, you were in that debate, weren't you? I remember you being there. You were in the debate. Well, I remember, I don't know if you do or not.
And it was part of the community vision.
Well, you were there, you were in the debate, Connie was there, yeah.
Well, and I'm just saying the community vision board that we held a few
Yeah,
months
that's
back,
true.
they mentioned that as well.
Yeah, people ask for it.
So I have a question. As this proposed budget sits, is it necessary to fund this to keep it at 60 cents? Since we deducted a couple of things.
Okay, we really need, I think, pretty much the original budget without all of those amendments from last month is what I should have asked for tonight.
But,
Right.
but my question is,
Yeah,
do we need 60 cents to fund this budget, right?
that's for the all-inclusive budget.
That-
Now, this is the amended.
That's what I'm asking, this amended, that says all-inclusive amended budget. Do we need 60 cents to fund it?
That was going to require taking some money out of the general fund balance to fund each of this.
So 60 cents, you see, won't even cover this amended budget. So if we add everything back, there's no way to move that down to 50, is there?
No.
It would require taking money,
Yeah, if you
more
want-
money out of the general fund balance.
Right, that's the thing. If we want to, Melody figured up at 60 cents, if we leave it at 60 cents. If we want to leave it at 60 cents with everything that everybody asked for and everything that we need, that would maintain. Now, right at this point, they told me the other day, it takes about, just to run the town, about $275,000 a month. Okay, that would give us money to run the town, plus be able to purchase some of this stuff that we need. And I know we keep saying, and I wish we'd never said that, wish list. Because the things I think that everybody came in with over here really and truly are needs. And if we keep cutting the sales tax, the tax, property tax, we're not getting everything that I think the town needs, and that the department heads think the town needs.
I'm just trying to figure out, this all-inclusive amended budget will be funded by the current 60 cent sales tax. But the one that, if we go back to the original all-inclusive, non-amended, then it certainly will fund that budget.
We had to go in the fund balance to pay for some of it.
So if we,
If we do the all-inclusive,
The first one we presented, we had to go in the fund balance, but fund balance, it's okay, you don't want to operate your everyday expenses on fund balance, that's illegal.
I understand.
But you can go in and do a one-time purchase or, say police cars
But
or.
we kind of need to know how much we propose to dip in the fund balance to fund this budget. I know we like to keep $2 million in it.
do you have a copy over there, or do you have it with them, of the
I don't have
original all-inclusive budget? Not the amended, but the all-inclusive. You got one, okay, you got it. Would you make a copy real quick for everybody? Yeah.
You don't have to make one. I got mine, it's got all my notes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have one.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
Don't make me one.
Let's take a 5-minute break till I need to go get something to drink while she's getting that for us.
It was going to be $486,000. Do you read it for us?
I have to miss-
Yes, as the 60 cents.
So if we go to this, all inclusive, what are we gonna have to take out of the general fund to
Oh, no, I'm saying that's what the 486,000 was.
And,
For this
and the
non-
minutes and the office and all
So,
those,
with this amended one,
It's going to go in,
I should hope.
yes.
That's why you found agreement in me to
There's
add
a letter,
things
a letter
to our
that
code,
has it on.
perhaps do a hourly note for that. And then I did have buddies who are in the electronic industry, their heads spin around their body saying, over $3,000 for a monitor. I was walking by Walmart and I could get a 70-inch for like $400.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way for $3,000 for a monitor. And I understand there's install and everything else.
That's what, yeah, that's the
We,
cost.
I would suggest highly on those guys there at the, look at getting that
Do nothing,
done more efficiently and
Jordan,
Our grandson.
we're up.
We're up here,
Okay.
playing over Clark. But I mean, I don't.
There is something that tells
North Coast. We're gonna have to possibly run two, like, county stations.
I thought we had something that showed how much.
What's that?
We had three of them.
Well, yeah, but we, yeah, so, yeah, it should just be.
I mean, I just think going from previous year of this
Yeah.
rate to next year.
My mother, I love going out there. And she, with, buying gifts. But my mother enjoys it so much that, because I'm the one that, Cheryl can pay for all of it. And, but, I'll do that. She's been bringing some friends with her, and they enjoy it.
The church I attend, Liberty Baptist, they have made donation recently too. to
Oh,
help with
good.
this.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that.
They did what then?
The big, they made a donation to help kind of fund it.
Did they do that till, the month?
Yeah, Mama goes to it, yes, oh, yeah, they, I think a couple from Dixon, my friends,
Yeah.
been coming, and she worries, that Cheryl has to pay for all the costs herself.
Well, I mean, a lot of people contribute.
Yeah,
Oh,
and that's what I was telling her.
donations for it, so, yeah, but things already got some people coming up from people, so.
It's really a big place.
I think they have about 30 to 35 from everyone's there.
I didn't know how, she didn't have to do that. I just wanted to let you know that, I made,
But anyway. form, yes, yeah,
So that's.
and that's it, is that we just get the contract, that's what she said, right?
This is as it was proposed for the all-inclusive, so to my eyes, I would understand that we just go in the whole program.
I don't know. I don't have the exact figure somewhere.
Which is why I was more kind of reflect on this, because at least that was about $100,000.
The thing about I think, I really but then we had somebody come in one time and say, yeah.
So we paying
What do you come up with,
So, based on the changes we voted for last month, I know we talked about 227,
that's what I thought.
okay, coming out of the general fund balance.
Right. I thought, well, I don't have to pay for more.
No.
That's if we went back to your,
Yeah, the same.
that's what, I mean,
We went back to everything.
Yeah, I don't know if you're free with that.
The grass patio.
Are they
Grass on one side. They might have, they're pad the wall. That's Johnny, Johnny, are you following me? That's what you lost the effort.
Even if you just say 100.
yeah, and then, yeah, we would exceed what we estimated.
It's basically.
All of that money goes to been over the taxes. Our highway money, and then we got AKA, down there, last minute, calling 911.
Oh, yeah, so much.
No, she's the one that I brought back from West Resign.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That's my house. I really did, but I've got to know all that what? Sometimes I think delivery. Here you go. You bought it. He already got yours. All inclusive. Just to give you a heads up, I did some quick figures on there because I figured the all inclusive, I went ahead and added the difference in the pay for the police department. And kind of did figures for everybody and got to the line.
I don't know about that. I was there.
You already did all that.
Here,
I'll include
here.
it. Here, we got it.
Oh, right.
Melody, do you need?
I got one. You got one? I thought that God said you don't come around and make them a copy.
Okay, I'm going to turn these two over so I will turn the board off. One minute, I will
That's why I'm so proud.
Okay, we're going to try this again. We've got what we need to think. So we're gonna look at the all-inclusive budget. Nothing amended, nothing coming out, nothing, going in extra, except Misty did add something, y'all can see where she added that over to the top. She changed the bottom of the police department, and total expenses will be this, total income, expenses. This is based on 66, correct? Okay. On the very last page, no, it's not the last, let me correct that. Yeah, the last page, I think, of the general fund, where it says net income loss, or general, or income or loss of general. We're saying that we're, at the end of 23-24 budget, and Melody, you correct me, you missed it if I'm not reading this right. It's like reading a road map. Is $1,549. $1,549,352 at the end of 23-24. That's what we've got. That's what we got in general fund. I'm looking right here on this page.
Yeah.
Total
Okay,
expenses.
gotcha. Okay, I'm looking at it.
Okay. And the next figure, the 24-25 budget, would be $1,133,434, correct? Now, you've got a figure now of $1,062,000. Is that because of the police salary?
Yeah.
So you just kind of wrote that in.
I did, just as a side figure, I didn't know which one you guys really wanted.
Okay, okay. So we increased our expenses. So
The
that,
revenue increase is not included in that, that's off of in the tax. The 20,000 is still in here, so you could add 27,000 to that
Right.
revenue.
yeah, we did do that in the other, but we didn't, of course, in this one we didn't do anything. So yeah, you can add, you're right, 27,000 there.
At the very end, because the first page has 20,000 for business tax estimates. And we
increased it to 47,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be,
Plus, we need to take out at the request of the police chief, the 15,000 vacation pay can be added back in.
Brings me to $1,104,409. Now, what anybody else got?
I'm sorry now, that was what?
$1,104,409.
That's adding 15,000 back and adding 27,000 back. general fund will,
If, with those two things, by adding that 27,000 in, and adding the 16,000 in.
so what's the rule of thumb as far as the general fund balance, how much should be?
So the Governor's Finance Officer Association recommends 25%, which is 3 months of our operating costs. And the comptroller recommends 16%, which is 2 months, so.
And when you look at, what are y'all saying, that, right at the current time, not next year, but at the current time, you're planning, you say it takes about $275,000 a month is what we spend.
Misty has averaged it out to do that.
So that would
Actually,
be,
at $267,298
okay,
a month.
all right. Well, I just rounded up to 270. Just say 270 a month, and that includes our operating expenses, payments we make on anything, contract rate, all that stuff. That's what it takes.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
and that's taking out like the grants, is that taking out the grants and everything too?
Yes, I took out the grants and so I was not working on this one, I was working on that one. And I took out the grants and the one-time pay for the items that were coming out, the $36,000 for the RJ Young, the IT. I took out the $8,026. So this is actually not accurate right now if we're going to go with the other one, but I can do the figures for you real quick if you like.
if we're gonna go with, what do you say on the other one?
What are you saying?
What do you say on the other one? This is not accurate if we're going with the other one.
Right, if we're going with the all-inclusive,
Uh-huh.
that's not an accurate amount because I actually took away the ricotta as a one-time fee. Like, I would have to, just give me just a minute. and I'll figure it out.
Look, my question was, the recommended amount to keep in the general balance.
Yes, and that would be 3 months of operating, but I have to redo the figures for you. It would be on this budget, so that I would know what we would have to have at the end to see if that's what we've got.
So just based on the $270,000 a month figure, I mean, I'm just doing elementary math here, so that's not available here. You know, that would be roughly 3.24 million a year. So at 25%, that means we need to have at least $810,000 in the budget. If we want to shoot towards a 6-month buffer in those general funds, that would be 1.6 and change million. So that would land us at leaving a remaining general fund balance at 1.1, we would be right in between that 25% and 50% operating budget. I'd rather obviously be bigger, but at least we are over that 25.
Do you feel good about this 1.1 million? Do you feel like that's an accurate figure?
I do.
What about, you told me before that we usually keep 800 to 900,000 in checking. Is that included in this figure? Or
No.
are we gonna add 800,000 to that figure?
We're gonna add it to that figure.
Okay. So, with 800,000, you might as well say that would be enough almost to carry us through if we had to for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused.
And then have 1.1.
Again, the general fund balance does not include what's in the checking account?
Well, it's what's that we got in that local government investment pool.
Okay, where does this, explain to me where this 1.1, where it is? Where's that?
It's in that local government investment pool.
Okay.
And,
And checking account.
no, not, I didn't include the checking account in that.
So
Because that's part of our operating expense.
But I'm trying to ascertain how much do we need to keep in there?
What we're just talking about. We're talking about,
Enough to run 3 months.
3 months.
Well, what we've got in there,
And the
if we
checking
figure
account
out,
would take care of
would
it.
take care of us for about 3 months.
Right.
And then after that, maybe this makes sense, but we would have to start pulling out of the general fund balance.
Yeah.
I'd have to start soliciting on sidewalk there.
So,
Yeah.
roughly, this is a quick one, so I haven't proofed it. Roughly, for 3 months of operating costs, it would be $1,144,406.
Could you repeat that?
Say that again.
$1,144,406.
And that was for 3 months?
Yes,
So that was 381,468 if we did the all-inclusive, not taking anything out.
And this would be for the all-inclusive?
Okay.
Oh, guys, wait, time out. I didn't take the grants out.
Okay.
Give me just a minute.
They won't say anything.
I didn't bring a calculator in here, just
Really,
We all
really.
are.
I
So-
don't do very well myself.
The government investment pool is money that can be liquidated to pay a thing.
Well, the majority of it goes towards the sidewalk grant project.
That's what I thought.
But
Well,
then there
yeah.
was some interest accrued.
Interest code and then also,
But there's extra amount, not just the grant, there's extra amount we put in there.
From the fund balance.
right. And that was, we have done very well by doing that, because we're going to get about $40,000-50,000.
How much? Off the top of your head, how much, and I'm gonna put this in a specific way, how much of that money that is put in the local pool is from from the general fund balance that is not earmarked for
grant.
grants and for, the other stuff that we already had?
I
Say
think
it's earmarked
about
for.
$750,000.
All right, so let's say we got 750,000 there, and where else have we got money?
Checking.
800,000?
Probably more than that, about 900.
Okay,
By the
let's
time-
just
by the
say,
end of
let's
the
be
year.
just say 900,000.
And don't hold me to my word on, to the penny, but that's close. It's close.
Okay, so I'm gonna say right now, at this moment, we think, at this moment, we would have $1,650,000. Now, we've got to pay bills next month out of that, plus maybe we'll get some more in.
Oh, we'll be getting more in.
Okay, so let's just say right now, right at this moment, we've got 1.6 million in general fund. Is everybody comfortable with saying that? That,
Roughly, yes.
yeah, it's roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't know till we get it audited, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. Now, so the thing, I guess you have to make a decision on, Scott, that we gotta look at. We go with this all-inclusive.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, are we going to have, what do you like?
Use the green one for go, which is good.
Yeah, green's good.
Okay, so, 3 months of operating costs would be $824,920. However, we have a restricted of $13,825.54 that we need to account for, so we have to add that to that for our least we can have. And that's $838,745.
And this is in checking, where are these figures? Is 3 months for operating?
Your general fund balance would be the 3 months of the operating cost.
That's what we have to have. I mean, that's what we should have, is that.
Got to at least have that in.
Okay.
So 3 months of operating costs is
Is what we need to have.
838,745.
That's 3 months of operating costs plus the $13,000 restricted for the donation for the sign that we already have in there, that we can't use for anything else.
And we had also, and I don't know if we restricted, we've got 30,000 left over from a loan that went in there.
Yeah.
that it's restricted,
We've only
but,
got one more year to use that too.
yeah,
because
if so, we need, okay.
we either need to pay it back toward the loan, we can put
Yeah.
that 30,000 back in, toward the principal of the loan.
So that's included in the 838?
No, that was the first time I heard about it, so I'm going back to this. Plus 30, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we've got 868,745.
But some of it's restricted, correct?
Apparently like 43,000.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So again, why is it 30,000 restricted if it's on a loan we took, we didn't use?
It's because we've got to use it. It's only, it's earmarked only for that loan, so that's why it's called a restricted balance.
Okay, so,
So we either use it or we pay it back on the
Because when we
loan.
borrow the money for the loan, we have to tell them,
This is what we're using it for.
right,
And that's the
so
only thing.
why did we borrow it? And what's it?
okay, for the tractor, the new tractor in the street department.
So that money has to be spent specifically for street department
Right,
work?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
but now we can also pay for the loan.
Yes.
you say street department, is that like repair of street or just equipment?
Just equipment.
Because when we go for these loans, don't we have to send those into the state
Oh, yeah,
comptroller,
they
somebody
have
to
to
get it
approve
approved,
it.
and it's
Has
got
to
to
be
be
approved.
you
Yeah.
can't just say we're gonna borrow money,
Oh,
you
no.
gotta tell them what it's for.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Anytime we borrow money, lease or anything has to be,
So we're currently making payments on that.
yes.
And what are those?
Listen, I'd have to, let me fix it.
And how long have we been sitting on this and why haven't
Well, we've got 3 years to use it.
Yeah, we can still use it.
We've got another year to go.
If Jeff sees the street department needs something,
Yeah, he can.
their equipment, stuff, we can use that. We have permission to use it for that. But if we don't use it for that, we've got to pay it back. We cannot use it for anything else.
Where are we at on the,
I think that loan was taken out in the previous fiscal year, so it was the 22-23 fiscal year.
so we had 2 years, no, 1 year left.
Yeah, that's what I said, we need to.
Debt service is 21,045, and we've got budget in here 21,129. That's the capital outlay note for new tractor and mower. So that, the payment for it's already budgeted in here. That 30,000 is just extra money we haven't used. Okay. We've budgeted the payment in here already. Payment's already budgeted.
Scott, the payment on that is $68,890 a year. And that is $100,000.
68,890,
It's in your straight aid fund budget.
so it's pay it monthly?
No, yearly.
Okay.
We pay interest twice a year, and then we pay the principal once a year. So principal and interest once a year, and then just interest. That's it.
So, back to this 868, 745, that's 3 months.
Right.
That's what we need.
That's what we need to keep in fund balance.
So,
Minimum, it's a minimum.
Yeah.
so, if we have 1,650,000, it's almost double.
Right. Yeah, we've got a healthy fund balance, so I don't think, I feel really confident that, we won't have to take out a fund balance. I think we're gonna be fine.
Well, some people have commented here and there, if the fund balance is so healthy, why don't we use it?
We do use it. I mean, I know that, I knew that was gonna be it. We do use it. But for instance, we could use it if we wanted to for a capital outlay note. we do use it. We're not, I don't think they're ever saying, this is all you have. They're saying you've got to have this. Things could happen that we need over that. I mean, you can never have too much fund balance.
So should we come up with a number that this town is comfortable having in reserve? And anything above that?
We're looking into getting a fund balance policy right now.
Okay, and anything above that, we could use for some of the wishes?
Well, essentially, the way,
We don't like to use the word wishes, it's needs. Because a lot of us have wishes.
Basically, that's what the budget is doing, is using some of our fund balance to cover these one-time expenses to set things up and to purchase these things.
But that's what the amendments did, some of that too. Remember the amendments to the budget? We had to take out a fund balance.
Right, I understand that. Well, we had to say that we were allowed to take out a fund balance. Well, we won't know until the end of this fiscal year if we really needed to do that or not. But we just did it for
Well,
safety's sake.
Well, it could be, but I do know, I think Andrew made the statement one time, looking at what she's got, and if we didn't, the revenues didn't continue coming in, she would have maybe have quit writing checks, we maybe not ever, maybe have to lay off people.
I'm not disagreeing with the
Yeah.
fact that we did it.
But we have, by having a healthy fund balance, that, you're gonna have years where you're not going to bring in all that. You're gonna have years. That's kind of what you have a real healthy fund balance for. For instance, this year too, the grocery sales tax, just for instance, I think that hurt us this year. And then you always have, things like a school, you know, and I think because they will have a weekend or two, you don't get sales tax on going back to school. We never know what we're gonna have there. So it's good to not necessarily have just $870,000.
I understand.
Yeah.
But,
I don't even feel that that's a healthy fund balance.
right,
I don't.
the people that I answer to are wondering,
Mhm.
if we have such a extraordinary fund balance right now, double what we need,
Uh-huh.
why do we need to raise taxes? That's,
Because you cannot use your fund balance for day-to-day operations.
I understand that.
but we also need to go back to the fact that this all-inclusive budget at a 60-cent tax rate is still going to be taking $444,000, almost $445,000 out of the general fund balance. It will drop down to what she said, the $1,104,409 is what it will drop down to.
Right.
And, I mean, you take it out, and then a year or two from now, you need more things, and I will tell you, we never know what the state, well, you've already seen that since you've been on here, what they're gonna come down with next, that we've got to have, that we've got to do. Well, sometimes we're lucky, we could, if we had to, take some of that fund balance.
They've got the radio is what we're talking. He was gonna wait till Tuesday night to tell y'all this, but I feel like he probably needs to tell you now. If you don't mind. I think I woke him up.
We, getting numbers back on radios, of course, I'm going with the state program, which will keep us from having to put any money in towers. But for the police department, radios were a little over $123,000. The fire department, I've seen their numbers, it was a little over $129,000 for theirs. So we're looking at $255 or so between all the radios. Shauna, the 911 director, told me that the time frame we're looking at, they are expecting to place an order in about 8 weeks with Motorola. And from there, Motorola said it'll be 6 months before they deliver. And after that, it'll be 1 year before a payment is due. So roughly, we're looking at probably 18 months before a payment is due. I was telling Melody that, of course, Motorola is pushing their financing. They're offering a 5.2% interest rate. We seem to think that we could probably beat that, you know, with 3.5% or something, we're hoping. So we believe that's gonna come in the 25-26 budget. And it may even run out to the 26-27 budget, just depending on where they get to. But we're expecting next budget.
And that's the reason we got to prepare, you're saying.
Yes, and along with that, our 911 call budget goes up every year. It just keeps, and these are things that we did not choose to do, but we're having to do. And that's why you don't want to go backwards. Let's keep a healthy fund balance. And I know people say, well, you're doing it on the back of the people and all that stuff. Our community, we are the people, you know, and this is what it's taking for us to be this community.
I'm not saying I disagree with you, but I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice, something to fall back on in case things go south. I'm not saying that you're wrong for wanting to be like that. I'm just saying that I have people that ask you some questions.
Well, how do you answer them? What do you tell them, Scott?
I said it's all, the mayor.
This is the mayor's comment.
This is the mayor.
No, I really,
It's hard to answer them. I know it is.
I mean,
It's hard for me to even, you hear all of us sitting up here right now trying to explain. And I asked somebody out in the hallway, I said, do you understand what's going on? The person said, you lost me after the Pledge of Allegiance. And I mean, this is hard stuff. And it's hard if you're just I call them a layperson, just person out there and you're not in this. It's hard to explain. I mean, somebody mentioned to me the other day at lunch that we need a swimming pool, we need a splash pad. And I said, do you know how many hundreds of $1,000s that is? And we'll never get a swimming pool. Most cities are not, getting swimming pools now, or most of them are letting them go if they have them because of liability. And she said, well, I guess anyway, y'all just take the money and just waste it. And I'm going like, I flew off on her, I can't help it, I did. But anyway.
on video. I want to see that.
Well, I should have. Well, you can ask my husband, I did. In fact, I wanted her to leave me alone, let me eat my hamburger. I mean, anyway. Now, when you are accused over and over of wasting money and of taking money under the table and doing that stuff, sometimes you just can't keep being sweet and nice and diplomatic. And I try to be.
And I'm not trying to criticize you, I'm just trying to understand all I know.
Yeah.
I don't.
And I understand that, and I'm glad you asked those questions. I really do. But that's what I was wondering is how you answer people. Do you go off like I did?
No, I'm very diplomatic.
Oh, okay. Well, we're down to the next thing. All right. Let's get back to this budget. Are we understanding that if we leave it at an all-inclusive, and we leave it at 60 cents, and that was just one thing we heard from Chris just then, and we don't know what else is coming down. We learn something every year. That even that 60 cents is not going to take care of anything. Unless we make capital outlay. We also talked about making a capital outlay in the next year or two for some much-needed paving all over town. So, I mean, I hate to say it, but if you start going backwards and we go down to the 60 cents, then it's going to hit us again next year and the year after that. I like what someone on this end, I think, said, that each year we maybe try to enforce a policy that when we go to the budget or taxes, that, what did you say, year Connie wants that in
Inflation plus whatever percent we argue about.
whatever percent we are in, which is what we're doing now. Okay.
In other words, because it was just something that was suggested on the state level of just every year, increasing whatever inflation was, and then the extra percent would be something that maybe this body at that given time was wanting for a specific need, like, hey, we're gonna redo, baseball fields or something, and so we're gonna increase it by X percentage for that. But the point was just simply to have a general understanding policy that every year taxes are gonna go up, whatever inflation is. They may go up more, but that's what's the debatable part. What's not debatable is the inflation percentage. That was the general idea.
The way I look at it is, personally, is that inflation is going nuts, and we haven't done anything to counter that as far as, so we keep running on a lower and lower budget when it costing us more for everything. So at some point, you have to, even out. I mean, who wants to raise taxes? Nobody wants that. But at some point, you have to, if you like the level that you're living at, of services and stuff like that, you gotta pay for those. And it's not anything that's this council's, this city's fault. It's the world we live in. It's the current government right now.
And I don't think, Scott, I think that could not have been better spent. That could not have been better spent. I appreciate that. I think that's great. I don't think expenses are ever gonna go down. We call it inflation, I call it expenses. They're not ever gonna go down. I'm talking our personal life too, and in our this. I mean, and we want to pay our employees a decent wage, and we want to provide for their retirement and pension, but we want to provide garbage pickup, and we want as best paving as we can. Paving will eat us alive in the next coming years. It still will. We can do it, and we can do it. We've done it before. We get a project, we get a big bunch paved, but then it's not 5 years till you've got more. And some people feel like they get left out on that particular paving. That we're always going to have those. But I guess too, Scott, my feeling on that, I agree with every word you said there. My feeling on that, once we start taking it out of general fund, if we don't increase to where we can keep up managing our town, and it's a nice community to live, once we start taking it out of general fund, how are we going to put that back?
Well, Mayor, this current budget, again, has $445,000 coming out of the general fund balance. That's why we negotiated taking some of those items out last month, was to lessen that. Because you're talking about a 60-cent tax increase or a 60-cent tax rate, plus removing $445,000 from the general fund balance.
Right, and my next comment was gonna be, there's things that we can do, and I'm not trying to point fingers or be ugly to anybody, but we can do things smarter. And so, this is my opinion.
Well, I mean, give me examples.
$25,000 we pay for somebody to mow our properties where we own the equipment to do it. Or we pay our maintenance people to fix roads where somebody else could do it more efficiently. Just two things that are on my checklist. And I mean, maybe there's others, maybe I'm wrong, but that's some of the things I'm thinking of. I mean, yes, I would love to have 2 monitors in here, but, the county, where they have their commissioner meeting, they have 2 monitors. But that room is 3 times bigger than this room.
Yeah.
So, and like Carl was saying, the quote we got was exorbitant. And because we went through a company that we did, I mean, it can be done cheaper. It's just,
If we did, yeah, okay, and remember, some of these prices that you're seeing in expenses, they're just numbers they had to just start out with to get, just to give an estimate, a projection. So it might not be that when we get ready to do that, we could go out to bid.
Well, it's so hard for me to make a decision if I don't have accurate numbers.
Well, it's hard for us to go out for bid though, and go through that when we don't even know if it's in the budget, if it's gonna be allowed.
Why?
We're not gonna take the time to go out for bids for something if it's not in the budget and not already approved.
Well, it would be easier for me to approve something if I had hard numbers.
You put it in the budget, and then when you get the bids, you've got the option to turn it down, to not do it.
So why wouldn't you have the option to do that on the people you get bids from?
You do.
I mean, before it's approved.
I don't understand. Why don't we what now?
I mean, you put,
You're just saying just not even put it in the budget?
it's like putting feelers out there. What's it gonna cost to do this?
Yeah,
So, you call more than one person up and find
Yeah.
out.
yeah,
Call 5 people up.
yeah.
Now, what's this gonna cost us?
Anything under, and under, to be quite honest with you, anything under 25,000, especially if it's an emergency. If it's not an emergency, we don't do it. If it's under emergency, the state allows you to get on the phone and just take the bids and over the phone, yeah.
I would like to point out too, while we're talking about this, once the budget amount is approved for a department, the department can spend that amount. Whether the items come in less or not, they're approved to spend up to that amount, correct?
Right.
Yes. So just because something comes in less doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a savings.
So that's my point.
Yes.
So,
I think when I worked in a different field before I began teaching, we would have requests for bid, and then we would have requests for information. And I think what you're asking for is more like the request for information, where you would get estimates from multiple companies, and they would have the understanding that this is not necessarily going to lead to an actual purchase. It is just a request for information.
I would call it a feasibility study.
Okay.
And I think that's basically what we've done.
But it
for
would be
this
multiple
monitor.
companies,
Yeah,
not just one
yeah,
company.
yeah.
But, I mean, like our garbage service that we just renewed, we had
Mhm.
2 people. Yeah.
It is.
But I know there's 5 places around here that do that same
If
thing.
they didn't bid, if they
Well,
had
I don't-
an opportunity and they
That's
didn't
because
bid.
of our antiquated bidding process. It's in the newspaper. I hate hearing that. Nobody reads the newspaper.
That's what the state law requires.
Well, do they require us specifically, or?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yes.
Do the newspaper, but you don't want to depend on.
And we have
this.
said, if you know personally people, and you're thinking, this is what we did, but maybe my people, maybe these people I know are not reading this newspaper, which, if I was in a business and your businesses know that's where the bids and the classifieds and all that's gonna be, if they're businesses, they know that's where to go and look each week to see who's putting out things for bid.
I think.
But if you could call, nothing would stop you if you know people, for you to call them and say, hey, did you know this is for bid? There, if you wanted to do that.
That's why I think we should do more of a feasibility study and find out who's in the area and call them. Be proactive, not reactive.
So we have 2 people in our office, who's gonna call all
Hard to
these
say,
people?
I was looking at Misty and Nody right now, do we need to add them in here?
Yeah, a
Another
person to
in
make
the office?
phone calls like that,
Yeah.
because we
So
can't,
you're
we
talking about
can't
time,
do
we're
it.
talking about time there. That would be one dedicated person just about.
And I don't know if it'd be legal for us to call anybody.
Oh, that's true, because that's, you
Yeah.
are, that's where the.
We're handpicking who we're gonna call.
Well, if you're doing a feasibility study, you're not promising anything.
What if I didn't like somebody and I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, and I put it in the paper?
Can I interrupt, or?
Yeah.
She
Go
has
ahead.
something to say, and I'd love to hear it.
I just have a couple of comments. I'm really sorry. I'm a former CMFO as well, and I just want to take the opportunity to add a couple of things to the conversation in translation, and I hope I'm not overstepping for our
No, you go ahead.
CMFOs.
Please.
No, you go ahead.
Councilman Glover, what you're saying with the feasibility study in government speak, that's an RFP, it's a request for proposal, okay? So, totally same thing, just a different term. So with an RFP, you can put out a request for proposal. What you cannot do is you cannot go out and call certain people, because you may call a certain group of people one time, and you may call the same group of people another time, but you forget one person, and you've got a lawsuit on your hands. And it's completely inadvertent, there's no malintent to it, it's just you forget. So that's why you can't do it. That's why, and I'm going into the legal beagle lane here, but Andrew's not here, so I think he'd be all right with me doing this, he knows my background. The second thing is state law is very, very strict about the way that you put things out for RFPs and for bids. And as Councilmember Merle was saying for request for information, what Councilmember was saying, your request for the term you used before.
Well, what I'm referring to in the past was not necessarily government work, but
Right.
we would receive requests for bid, and then we would receive RFIs, request for information.
So the request for information is very similar for a request for proposal, okay, in government speak. You two are talking about the same thing, just in private sector type terms. So there are those two opportunities. So your RFPs are more informal than your request for a bid. So you can put your RFPs out, and you can go in and you can put as much detail as you want in there, and say, okay, we think we want to do this, this, and this, or you can keep it as vague as you want. Obviously, the more detailed, Councilmember Glover, if you want to know what you're getting for your money, then you put the whole kit and caboodle in there. If you're okay with being a little bit more vague, like, hey, we need to update our AV system or whatever, then you can make it a little bit more general, but then you have to know that the RFPs coming back may be a little bit higher, because they're also dealing with the unknowns. So there's that fine mix, right, of what you're going to get back and what you're not. And then if the council decides to accept an RFP or whatnot, then at that point when you're making your budget, then you can put in a not to exceed amount. So the more vague you are, your prices may go up, but you can say, okay, we're going to let this go, but to your point, we're going to do a not to exceed, fill in the blank. So, pardon me for getting out of my planning lane, but I thought it might be helpful.
I appreciate it very much. This is my first rodeo in local government. So I don't mind saying that.
Yeah.
I'm usually in the private sector, and I won't know large companies, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't have a problem cold calling people and saying, I need to know.
You can't do that, though.
I was not aware. Is there a way to do we're not proposing?
Yes, there is, and it's called your town website. And I think and you may or may not do it already, I don't know, but usually if there's something going on, then you put something on the website going, hey, RFP is open, a request for proposal, and here, click here, and there's a list of all the RFPs that are open or bids, and then you can have your open bid and closed bid and things like that. But there are so many rules, and it's so frustrating for people who have such private sector experience and such diverse experience coming over to the government world and trying to make those two connect. Because a lot of times you have a lot of shared experience and shared language, but your procedures are so vastly different, and it's so frustrating. It is. It's so frustrating.
And that's the same way it is in accounting.
Right.
People think accounting's accounting, it's not.
It isn't. Right. Government accounting is like a whole
Yeah.
different world. So to answer your question, yes, there's multiple ways to get that out there, but there are some things that the state of Tennessee will absolutely not allow you to do. And one is making specific phone calls. That's just a fairness. You know, you can have a brain blip and call somebody one day and exclude somebody the next, and all of a sudden, you know, you're playing favorites with Joe and not Bob or whatever.
I think, and I would say that, I want to add to that, I would say that most of those laws are to avoid or get out of the good old boy system.
Exactly.
And that, you know, because that's what I was saying. What if I didn't like somebody out the road that maybe could do something that we need done? I don't like them, and I'm not giving them a chance. Nobody has to know that, but I'm not.
And there,
And, you know, it's that,
if I may, and I don't think anybody's insinuating that you're
No.
saying anything like that for Good Old Boy or anything else.
No.
The other thing you could also do, and I think your finance people probably already do this, but, you know, any other public works projects that are going on in the area, you can look to try to piggyback or, you know, do things like that, and I know Jeff, you know, does that quite a bit. I mean, we sit on a lot of the same boards and go to the same meetings and things like that. So, long story short, I understand from sitting in a couple of these that I was not able to participate in when I was with GNRC, and I, you know, couldn't say anything or whatnot, but I don't want to take up too much time, but I can appreciate your discomfort with not having a solid number. But you can have that, I think, that balance that you might be looking for in going maybe with an RFP procedure and doing that advertisement and that outreach through your town website and being able to have more of a ballot that way.
Or electronic sign.
I was just sitting there thinking, or we could put it on the electronic sign.
Well, thank you. Again, I appreciate your input. I'm always willing to learn new stuff. I'm used to just doing it.
Hey, I know, right? And I love translating from private sector to government. It's a challenge, and I love doing it because it's almost impossible sometimes.
I think, and I will say that I think all of us, she's been in private sector, he is right now, Connie has been, I was in private sector for my 25 or 30 years, and when I first came over to this, Melville will tell you, I mean, I just couldn't understand why we weren't doing things a certain way and everything. I mean, the first 2 or 3 years. And now I'm so used to kind of doing this, like I don't know how to explain it to you sometimes why we can't do it like the private sector. I'm used to doing it this way. So I appreciate very good explanation. Thank you so much. Sometimes I don't know how to tell you why it will work and why it won't. And sometimes I don't understand myself, but I just know. So, but those are very good questions, very good. I know Melody tells me and Jeff tells me all the time, they'll do this, and no, we can't do that, it has to be done this way, it's not done that way, you know.
Well, I'm a person that doesn't accept a simple answer.
Well,
I need to know the details. Just ask my wife.
So, okay.
Thank you. I'm done.
So, can we get back to the budget then? I mean,
Tuesday
Tuesday night, it's 8 o'clock. Okay, we're not taking any, of course, tonight, no motions, notices, so, I guess if we go with the all-inclusive budget, that gives us, where we will take some out of general fund, if we go with the 60 cents. Is that correct, Melody?
That's correct.
So we have to decide.
I wish, you know, somebody would,
But
you can't
next
vote on it, what budget you won't present it, but what would you
Right.
like for us to have for you?
But here's the thing. Okay, so these people are asking, you know, why can't we spend some of the general fund? Okay. So we don't do that. And I'll accept that. Say we don't do it. No, say, you know, that we don't do this and we, next year,
But we do.
but
We have.
say if we don't. No, we haven't approved anything yet. We haven't approved. Well, we've had to take some out of
Field
general
training.
fund.
That came out.
It did. Yeah, that was an expense. Then that's a good reason to have general fund.
Yeah,
Field of Dreams.
so electronic sign.
Well, Field of Dreams was unexpected, and it was something that had to be done. An electronic sign,
According
I
to
love
you,
it, I want it, I love it, but it's not like the safety of our kids. You can't equate it with that. You know, but that is, I think we do need it, I think we need it. I think we need it just to keep, well, like I said, the transparency thing. I don't hear that much anymore, because people can watch us on the TV if they want to, you know. Chris is taking care of that. I don't know, but, yeah, you're on TV stars now.
But Tuesday, we just have to, somebody has to make a motion or something. I mean,
That's
we can't really
right.
do anything
That's
tonight.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we'll have to discuss some of this again Tuesday night, because Brian's not with us tonight.
Oh, no, we have to.
tonight. He's not with us tonight, he will be with us Tuesday.
Yeah, he's gonna have some thoughts on it. He is. So, okay, let's move on down the agenda. I think that was good, Connie. We just need to move on, and Tuesday night, somebody's gotta make some motions. We lost some of our crowd.
Everybody boring.
Codes and permits. Discuss second and final reading, the zoning request for, 1022 Hotel from C1 central business to R2. We'll have a public hearing on that, and it'll be the second. Does anybody have any thoughts on it?
The only thing I have to remind everybody is that we were advised by our planner and our council not to do this, and our counselor not to do this.
And the planning
And
commission.
you're right, and not, so that's something to think about. It passed on first reading, but
Amanda, were you here when we discussed this?
Yes, you do.
For the work session.
Was here for the
And she
So-
had the planning commission too.
As a parent that I don't remember, what did you say your reason was why we should not?
Thank you. The reason, why I recommended against going to, anything other than commercial was the fact that, excuse me, there's nothing commercial abutting it. There's nothing residential abutting, the current property. The applicant and I have had several conversations about waiting, and maybe potentially zoning it to like a C3, which is kind of the lower intensity type use, and he declined, which is his right to do. He's got a large enough parcel where the right commercial use will come, and even he acknowledged that. The unfortunate part is that it doesn't fit with his timeline. Again, that's all in my staff report. He knew it was going to go in there. He was okay with it. Just in the T word, transparency. The motivation for his rezoning is financial. There's no other reason for it. In that area, the council, just throughout various records, various studies that have been adopted, has maintained that area to be commercial. Now, over time, yes, there have been changes in that area, but the growth in that area and in the adopted previous plans has always been toward commercial. In reviewing the last meeting with Jeff, and knowing that the motion came along with a request to study that area to transform it back into residential, that's well and good. I mean, that's okay. I think that would ideally be part of a broader measure. I still do not think that it's advisable for this council to change this one piece of property at this point in time. In fact, I had a commercial interest ping me about a potential location site, and I sent her right over to Cliff. I don't know how that conversation turned out. My job is to connect, not to get involved. Just, hey, here's a piece before it's too late. It'd be a great location. It's right off the main boulevard and everything. But for the immediate instance, the reasons against, again, were that there's nothing else around there residential. The town has always maintained that it be a commercial area. I think if a change were to happen, it should be wholesale in terms of looking at a comprehensive area plan type thing, and not just one little parcel completely surrounded by commercial.
So, Stephanie, I see you shaking your head. Do you agree with that?
I do, yes. I envision that area being commercial for the near future.
I'm kind of the opposite. I would love to see it go back to residential. Because there are houses there.
Yeah.
Now, if we scrape the whole thing, then I could foresee it being commercial, but there's not a lot of commercial stuff going off at 70.
Well, this is my thought, and excuse me if I use the wrong terminology, but back in the day, there used to be a lot of conversation about urban sprawl because cities would only grow along the main thoroughfare, and there would be no offshoots from that main thoroughfare, so cities just kept getting bigger and longer and longer and longer, and with the current use and the way I envision it, I think there is going to be commercial growth off of Taylortown, much like there is with Highway 47, where the grocery store's at, the bank, Ace Hardware. I think it's going to run more a north-south pattern than just the east-west that we have with Highway 70.
We have no more room to go on Highway 70.
Well,
City limit to city limit.
yeah,
And also,
I kind of disagree. We
just an example I have is Church Street over here. A whole lot of that is already gone commercial, and there's some residential at the end of it. But a lot of it is already gone from residential to commercial.
I wish we had a map in here.
Right.
well, I tend to be in agreement with you, Scott.
Well, I mean, I think Church Street at the west end would have been perfect for total commercial. And, because that would have been right, because it's in view. If it's not in view, people have to hunt for it. But if it's in view, I see it all the time in my shop, my bicycle shop. I've been there for 8 years, and I had people come by. I drive by here all the time. I didn't know it was here until I looked. So, if it's hidden on a side street, there's no chance.
Well, I guess, though, there are some variations of commercial. There are some commercial properties that are, I would call them destination commercial. If you are an attorney, or if you're real estate, or if you're a surveyor, or if you're, people don't care where you are. They're going to find you, and they're going to go. They don't care if you're right there on Taylortown Road or if you're on 70. So I think some destination commercial would be okay. But I understand what you're saying. Some businesses have to have the exposure and the foot traffic.
Yeah, I see your point,
Yeah.
too. I know 2 surveyors that are, one's on 70, one's on 46, and that's how I know that they're there, because I drive by, I'm like, hey,
But if you were a real estate person, and she was trying to close a business, and she said, well, our closures are over on Taylortown, and we'll meet you there at 1 time. You're going to go get, because that's all you're going for. You'll never go there again. You'll go there and go there 1 time. That's it. So I think that's the kind of business, the only thing I can think of that maybe, I call them destination businesses. There was a beauty shop there. She was completely booked to the limit. People didn't care if she was on Taylortown. That's where they went, to the beauty shop. So that's a commercial. It's different than a restaurant, which needs to be on 70 or something, I would say.
I think you missed the chance with Church Street.
Yes, well, maybe so, but a lot of Church Street used to be residential, and now it's already gone commercial, and I think that it will just eventually go commercial. You wanted to say something?
Yes, please. You're in the same shop, you're in the same development with Moxie Hobbies, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're on a major corridor where people are running, what, at least 50? Beyond.
What it's supposed to be.
Okay, I know exactly where you are. My husband's best friend owns Moxie. So y'all are completely different. I completely understand your experience. People are going really fast. You're set really far back because you've got a huge street of parking in front. I think if we could probably go back and refashion that, you'd be a lot closer to the front, to the major street. You don't have a lot of signage out there. You've got one stand out there, the owner doesn't let you, the building doesn't let you do a whole lot, the whole 9 yards. This area though, if you're looking at it, I envision Berry Hill in some of the areas like behind the burrito place, off whatever street, I'm terrible with directions and planner, go figure. But think of like some of those smaller neighborhood type, boutique type coffee shop, bookshop, crystal shop, record shop, whatever kind of shop you want to put in, gelato shop, whatever. Those are the type of places where you're not running, I'm sure people all abide by the speed limit here,
Yeah.
but, you know, they're not
Well,
running 50,
we only
they're
have
not,
courts today.
they're not running 50 miles an hour. You know, especially you've got the school over there by that time. So they're going a little bit slower. They're familiar with Taylortown. That's an area where you can pull off and you can go a little bit slower. It's within walking distance. So I'm not discounting your experience, you're correct. And I think that is a very similar experience that people have along 70 going through the main part of town. What I'd encourage you to think about and reflect on is those smaller type neighborhood C3 type developments that could feed off of a faster paced main thoroughfare. And I think that's where you're saying we had that lost opportunity for church. If we had that lost opportunity for church, we still have that opportunity for Taylortown. It's just something to think about.
Well, I have a question. If we own the property on Taylortown, but sounds like we're wasting its advantage by using it or is that's ours, and that's where our
We
maintenance
own
place.
several pieces.
We own several pieces.
But that's where our maintenance place is.
Where our street department is, yeah.
So why aren't we putting our street department where it doesn't matter and using that and renting that out as commercial? Is it zone commercial?
We used to rent it out.
So you could, Mayor, if I may.
No.
So you could go back to your items 3 or 4 in your budget and take a look at relocating. But also administrative services are essential services. Those can go anywhere. They don't have to be zone commercial. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to, you're not just locked in. So to have that type of argument or response is completely understandable. But it's almost like a paper tiger. Because, yeah, you're right, that's where we are right now. But that doesn't mean we always have to be there. That doesn't mean that you have to, because that's there, we can change, we can't ever change or look to revision for that area. And that's where your comprehensive planning process comes into. No, we don't want to have a street department there. It doesn't make any sense. We want that to be a robust neighborhood center, smaller scale center. So let's look at trying to move them out and, redevelop that area somehow. I mean, those are the type of questions that you all have the ability to look at and make decisions on how you want to move this town forward.
But then, on the other side of that, we own that building. If you go and try and build them a building, you go somewhere, get land, build them a building to move them out so that we could do whatever. I mean, that's another big capital expense. You know what buildings are now. So that's why I'm like, at the moment, we keep the street department there. We used to not have them there. But when we moved up here, we used that as the street department. That used to be our city hall, Coleman, yeah. Yeah.
Fire department, city hall.
So,
What's more profitable, having people rent from us there and pay us rent and offset the price of building a new maintenance building, which...
what's more expensive?
Why is it about money? Why is it always about money?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Well, it probably, maybe does, but
It's
right
paid
now,
for,
it's paid for and it's serving the purpose really well right now for the street department. Hey, but that is something when y'all can discuss, whoever, you can discuss on down the future, but can we kind of go on tonight with that? Okay, does that answer your question, though? You asked her what
Yep.
the objections? Okay. All right, discuss second and final reading, regarding woodland protection. In a public hearing will proceed this action. Woodland protection.
I think it's a great document, I love it.
Okay.
I'm a day late and $1 short,
Mhm.
I love it too. They cut down every single tree on the Horn Hall Road project. They cut the last big 6-foot diameter tree. It just breaks my heart.
This mud stopped it, and, I don't know. Anyway, but I'm a tree lover, Scott. Discuss second and final reading zoning ordinance revision regarding access management minimum standards. The public hearing will be before this. Any questions?
I have one question, just because
Okay.
I've had a recent conversation with a developer. Are there variances allowed in this access, given depending on the type of development, or no?
Yes.
I thought there were so many houses, weren't there?
So this is in the zoning ordinance, so Board of Zoning Appeals has the ability to issue a variance. But again, that variance is going to have to be compliant with one of the tenets that state law sets forward to be eligible for variance. And because our regulation is very tied into public safety, that's basically the main reason why we're putting in these. The ability would be, the standard would be pretty high, but there is the ability to seek a variance.
Well, let me give you the reason why I was asking, because this guy was just asking for my personal opinion. It wasn't anything official in any capacity, but, and I didn't like his train of thought. But
Okay.
the property he was thinking about, it would be, because it was just simply on a highway. He was, when his suggestion that I was not in favor of it, and I told him it was ugly, it would be almost impossible, given the lot, to put 2 access points. But what he was proposing was higher density that would exceed the 30-unit portion. So would that make it where it would just force him to basically put on the same road 2 entrances? How would that play out, or would he try to have to go for a variance?
So if it's on the state highway, you've got TDOT involved.
Okay.
So that's, I'm not even gonna try to go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, we would hold them to our standards, but at the end of the day, TDOT is the one that would grant the access.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. That's all I really need. Other than that, I like this document. I thought it was good too.
Great, and great team effort, absolutely.
Okay, any other discussion on that? Number 8, discuss resolution endorsing the Whitewater Transportation Safety Action Plan.
So, Mayor, we've talked several times about the need for the safety action plan. It's now become a prerequisite to a lot of transportation-related grant opportunities. Back in November of '23, we put together a steering committee. Thank you, Mayor, for serving on that. Brian Hill was a council rep, Amanda from planning, and myself. So we had contracted with AECom to put together this safety action plan, and had roughly monthly meetings through the first quarter of this year, identifying areas that we needed to analyze more closely. Worked with Chief Falter on getting crash data for the last 10 years, and all of that went into what is referred to in the document as the high injury network. It identified areas of concern. Once we had that baseline information together, we had an open house out at the Bid Center sometime in March. Had good attendance to that. A lot of good ideas and stuff came out of that. We also had an online survey that anybody could take. We had an interactive map that people could indicate where they were concerned, that kind of thing. All of that data went into the Transportation Safety Action Plan that I sent out to you all. I didn't print it again tonight, but sent it out to you earlier, few days ago, earlier this week. I'd like for you to review that. If you have questions, we'll talk about it tonight or Tuesday. But we will be asking you to endorse this Transportation Safety Action Plan, very similarly to the way we recently did the White Bluff Comprehensive Plan. Reason being is I think in August we have an opportunity to apply for a grant that we could use for, they allow you to use things for demonstration purposes, so we could start to test out some of the things that we might be able to start using. But then it also gives us down the road access for a more likelihood of being approved for some construction grant and that kind of thing. So, any questions?
Okay, any discussion or any questions of Jeff? Any thoughts on it?
I asked him my question.
Okay.
It looked good to me, and I'd love to start making headway towards it.
Okay. Discuss offer of irrevocable dedication, accepting person and away from property line to property line of DG Market as a town street and accept maintenance on bond of $20,380.
So when DG Market approached us about locating a store east of downtown, their access was going to be off of Ellington Way. Ellington Way prior to this was basically just a gravel horseshoe, two entrances and exits on Highway 70. But as those properties develop, we are requiring that each user upgrade Ellington Way to town standards. Dollar General did that from their property line to property line, Highway 70 to the end of their property. And they've met all the requirements, and we are going to start, if it's the will of the board, we will start accepting that street for the portion that they were responsible for. So they've done that, and then we will require a one-year maintenance bond, and that's that. So you have both of those. They have the offer of dedication and proof of their maintenance bond in your package.
Okay. Any questions? Moving on down to Parks and Recreation, discuss Bill White Bluff Nature Park agreements with Richard Bill, Kimberly Horn, which is the landscape engineers, and Lyle Cook Martin, the architect.
So Mayor, we're making progress on the Bill White Bluff Nature Park. This that we're talking about tonight is basically phase one. Phase one would consist of a nature center structure that would sort of be the hub of the park. It also involves, of course, getting utilities to the site. It involves the entrance into the park as well as parking facilities. And so several of you have seen, we previously did a master plan on the park, and this would be for phase one. Mr. Bibb has very generously, once again, offered to help get that park established. He, of course, gave the 50 acres of land. But the next step is to basically come up with building design for the nature center. And again, Mr. Bibb will pay for all of these planning services to the tune of about $222,700. And so we would do this similarly to the way we did the Bibb White Bluff Civic Center. So it's just agreements with Mr. Bibb, and then it's agreements with the architect and the landscape engineers.
Just a question, obviously I understand what the park's for. What's the vision for the building? What's other than bathrooms?
So you'll actually see, if you look at the document in there from Lyle Cook Martin, it kind of outlines what the objectives of that building would be.
There's gonna be a splash pad.
No, sir. No,
Hundreds
sir.
of thousands of dollars, what you eat right now, okay? No, I'd love to have a splash pad. I mean, I thought at one time we were gonna get one down here at Field of Dreams for a down there. I
Would
thought
you
we
use
were.
it? Well, I see
Hey,
you
I
out there.
might, you might.
See you out there in the splash
Well,
pad?
you might, why not? Have on with freak shoes on, and get right out there with us. I sure would. Okay. No, I think it'd be good for our kids, but anyway, that's another conversation for another night. Oh, we're going on down to new business. During the current zoning in the area north of Taylortown Road intersection, this was requested to be added to the agenda during last month's TC meeting. Current zoning in the area immediately north of the Highway 70 Taylortown Road intersection.
So this, was kind of an extension of the conversation regarding the rezoning out on Taylortown Road. And we had the discussion where we were talking about it might be more appropriate to have a wider area analyzed. And, Brian, Councilmember Hill brought that up and asked that it be put on the agenda, so that's why that's there.
Okay. All right, guys. Everybody's got their homework. Anything else? I want to thank everybody for everything, all the questions tonight, all the comments. Amanda, thank you immensely. We might fire Andrew. And you're not going to push your hair. No, gosh, no. Having the both of you here, though, that's W. I love that. And I want to thank the staff, and please forgive us when we cannot answer just right off the top when you come up, because I will tell you something, I've worked on it all day. I went out and worked with Jeff on it all day. And even after working on it all day, I feel like I am just bombarded with numbers, and to answer some of the questions,
Hard to
it's like,
answer all.
yeah, well, we've talked about this today, and I had these notes everywhere.
Well, I can talk, don't give an answer.
Yeah,
Always.
right, just get back with them. But anyway, I just want to thank everybody, and to tell you, this is not easy, this is hard. So, making decisions is hard, and somebody's going to be happy and somebody's not, so that's just the way it goes.
I view it as challenging.
Huh?
I view it as challenging.
It is a challenge, yes. Okay, so we're going to adjourn.
Did you tell us what budget you want us to bring back to the council on Tuesday night?
I don't know, because I'm suggesting, until we get a proposal Tuesday night, on what they want to do. No vote, so.
Why? When you say
All
vote,
three.
you mean
When you say vote, what are you talking
in
about?
the amended budget, or?
The budget that the council voted on last month to make the revisions to, I think that needs to be included in the package.
I just didn't know if we were doing anything with the 50 cent, or?
Okay,
I can talk to you individually about that, but I think that the previous budget that you had included also needs to be in the package.
okay, is this one, is this what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, she wants to see this one again, and I want to see the original, I mean, what you got tonight. And then we can go from there, those are the two I think we need to work on. Okay. All right, everybody go home.
You want our girls off?
Take the tree out.
What?
They want to order, and one their first off.